People act out of emotion despite whatever the logic is. And so we have to be mindful of that because people are going to act out of emotion. One of the things you said, though, I want to go down this was you can provide all of the logic to someone, behavior, getting people to take action. It's not the logic. So what's the tip that you have? How do we get people to move to action?
There's the idea oftentimes in psychology where they talk about the reptilian brain. That presupposes, and I'll just say as a believer, I believe that we were created as human beings from the beginning, but I do think that there's similarities in design, right? If you think about it from the perspective of this reptilian brain, the reptilian brain makes a decision based on almost more gut instinct, or it's just going to make a decision more emotionally based driven. And then we rationalize it very quickly after the fact that we don't realize that we actually made the decision before we rationalized the decision that we made. And that's an interesting thing, but that's true. If you look at even a lot of things that you buy or do in life, oftentimes you made that decision more from an instinctual decision. You didn't set up a Venn diagram to decide whether that was the right thing to do or not. You made a decision and then you rationalized that decision. You may have thought that you have put a lot of thought into it, but very often you haven't. And so when you're thinking about that from an advertising perspective, a lot of this comes down to figuring out what is going to motivate somebody to want to buy this product or this service or whatever that is. And the thing that I make sure that I caution our team on is you have to decide where you are from an ethical standpoint before you get into this line of work, because there's a lot of power in being able to understand a little bit more about human psychology and what's going to make somebody click and buy. You have to decide where is that line and how far are you willing to push that. We see people push that way too often, right? And they get in trouble with that. That's something that each person has to answer for themselves.
I think you're onto it, right? People act out of emotion despite whatever the logic is. And so we have to be mindful of that, because people are going to act out of emotion. So no matter what the logic says, be prepared for potentially things changing. And I think your point is spot on, because people act out of emotion and then rationalize after.